and welcome to Join the Chat. Today we've got Des Moss with us, one of our parishioners, and this morning we were looking at some of the parables from Matthew 13, and we're going to look particularly at the parable of the merchant who was a pearl merchant, and he would go and find the best pearls and then sell them on, and he knew his pearls. And this parable tells of this merchant finding the ultimate pearl, and he then goes and sells everything he has in order to purchase this pearl. And Jesus says that is what the kingdom of heaven is like. So I'm going to have a chat with Des about what he understands that to be, and we're going to have a bit of a conversation around that. The pearl of great price is how it's kind of often known. So Des, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's a very good one, and it actually brings you right down to earth, no pun intended there, but when you look at it and you put yourself into the frame and say, what would I do in that situation, which in fact we are faced with. So would I give up everything that I have accumulated for the kingdom? And is that the value that you place on it? Well, that's what the Bible says. That's exactly what it's saying here. And it's a real challenge to us. And you know, I do like the example of the pearl. And the pearl, you know, if you look at it, it's the only time that we talk about something in the Bible that's deep-seated treasure. And in fact, it's the only treasure that does come from the sea. Everything else, which we have, which is considered treasure by us earthly people, is either dug out of quarries or mines, and it's in an unfinished state. But Jesus, and you know, the Lord here is putting it really, really bluntly to us, because the pearl, when you find it in the oyster, is in perfect condition. All you've got to do, it's calcium carbonate by the way, all you've got to do, just drill a hole through and you've got it. And the interesting thing that I've found, just sort of looking and studying this, is that if you take pearls and put them away in darkness for a period of time, they lose their luster. And that really just speaks to me about our faith. So that's how I view it.
Yeah. So it's something so incredibly valuable that's gifted to us already complete, which is pretty cool. And that's quite an interesting one, because like the kingdom we know is kind of something that's the now and the not yet, and yet it's kind of complete in that over time thing, isn't it? That it's completely beautiful, and so beautiful that we would be willing to give everything, which, you know, that to me says, what is it that I would give up? Would I give up everything for the kingdom? And bottom line is yes. You know, that's a pretty extraordinary thing, isn't it?
It is, and we are required to do that. But you know, we want to hold on to so much of what's earthly as Christians. And you know, we drive a car and we see one that's newer than ours. So you know, it is a very, very hard line. And when you're confronted with something like this that says, well, you know, give it all away, because literally it's of no value. And where are you placing your value? You know, I joke with my friends, because I get a tremendous amount of stick being a Christian, particularly in commercial circles. And whenever people ask me, why do I go to church, I always joke and tell them it's to get a letterbox in heaven. And in doing that, I hope that they get the message that unless they're of the same belief, that they're not going to catch up with me. And, you know, I think you can use mirth to get away with this. And you know, I joke about it from time to time, and I remember being in this very church when one of the parishioners here died, and the hearse slowly drove up the Coe hill up here, and Neville Roundtree and I looked through the window, and it was a very solemn moment, and because I like to have a little bit of a joke, and I joked to Neville and said, you know, Bryce has gone to heaven. Neville, I'm sure of that. And then I looked down, and there I joked and said, there's no tow bars on hearses. You can't take it with you. And you know, and it's things like that that, you know, I think really bring it home. And when you come back to the situation of the pearl, you know, if you look at the composition of the pearl within itself, it's absolutely perfect. And you know, we've been promised a perfect life, but it's just not here. It's beyond. Yeah.
But there's elements of it starting here, and we catch glimpses of it, don't we? And that's kind of I guess, what draws us to be willing to give up everything for it, because we get these glimpses of what this incredible kingdom is that we're starting now to build, and that's extraordinary, you know, to be able to be part of that. And I just, you know, I look back through my life and I think you know, the building of the kingdom and ultimately to live in that kind of kingdom is huge, and I wouldn't want to not be part of that, you know. And I would trade everything to be able to. I would never want to lose that part of my life of you know, that's so much part of who we are as faithful people following Jesus, that we're heading towards this kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's when you get to your final years, and I nursed my mum, third generation atheist who became a Christian in the last few breaths, which was amazing within itself. And there's been an article written on it called The Philly Principle. Her name was Phyllis. And when you look at those last days that we had with our mum in that hospital, what was important to her? And you look at everything that she clung on to. She used to collect tea towels, and she had favourite jugs, and she was, you know, and that's what was important to her. And she even kept her doll that was given to her right through that period of time, which we still have. But when you get to nurse a person in their final hours, nothing's important. Nothing is important. And, you know, there was just the release of that. And, you know, as we get a little older, which day by day we do, and we start to see great glimpses of that kingdom. And, you know, it's been interesting going through COVID just to see how people have reacted to it, because it's the enemy that we can't see. And, you know, Jesus is the answer that we can't see. And so, you know, I think that that's it's an extremely timely period for us as we look towards the kingdom that we've got. And, you know, it's also a reminder that, you know, the people that we've right through COVID, you know, we allowed people to go in front of us and we kept our distance, etc. And the moment it was released, of course, we wanted to toot our horn at them and get them out of the way and walk on the other side because we don't enjoy them necessarily. And that's not the role of a Christian. And, you know, it's interesting because, you know, we're going to meet the people that are in the Bible. That's what I find fascinating.
Yeah.
We will meet these people.
Extraordinary, eh? Yeah. It's such an amazing thing to think of this kingdom that is so much bigger than us in this moment, that goes past and future and extraordinary. And I guess the question is, you know, what is the kingdom? And can you grasp something of the kingdom? What is it that would make you give up everything? You know, what is it that God is offering you that is worth that much? And that's what we want you to think about, to join the chat, to have that conversation with people around you and with us, to talk about what it is that God is calling us to, this great kingdom that Jesus was initiating and bringing to bear, and that we now participate in and look forward to in its fulfillment. So join the chat, write something about it. We'd love to hear from you. You don't have to agree, or, you know, we're happy to have that conversation however it looks. We want to be a place where people are able to ask the questions and have those conversations, so that you can see too what incredible treasure it is to find Jesus. We love that you are here. Have a great week.